Mazda front row. It's the Valvoline Winton 300 green flag. 100 laps begins now. Double file rolling start and field.
Tell me about the Shelley team.
The Valvoline Winton 300. Round 3 and the final round of the Australian Endurance Championship. We've seen blood, sweat and tears put into what is undoubtedly one of Australia's premier endurance races. There's one thing for sure, that this is the Club Racers Bathurst 1000. In 2015, we see 116 drivers, 57 cars, 100 laps and 300 kilometres to crown the winner of the Michael J. Ronk Trophy. So let's jump on board with one of the teams for 2015. Stomp Racing, the fastest Peugeot in Australia. Let's meet the team. Introducing Angus Lithgow, Refueling and Workshop Manager. Stephen Anslow, Strategy Man, Communications and PR. Tess Anastakis, Data Analyst and Nutritionist. John Taylor, the one, the only, the co-driver. And last but not least, Parry Anastakis, team owner, driver and all-round legend. Let's have a quick look at some of the specifications that Team Stomp Racing will run under their Peugeot 205. Well, without further ado, let's jump in and see some of the highlights for Team Stomp Racing for the Valvoline Winton 300B main in their Peugeot 205. Well, it didn't take long until we got a green flag for the Valvoline Winton 300B main, and of course Parry Anastakis starting out at position number 3 in that Peugeot 205 as we see a little bit of action further back in the field with one of the Targa racing cars entered in the B main race, but Parry Anastakis already making his way up to the front and letting his presence known, making his way in a second position. Of course, the boy is qualified on the front row of the grid for the B main, but were dropped back to third place as some of the other cars were pushed back into the B main that were going to be in the A race. But it was the youngster Tasha Vangelou who started from pole position in the Ford Falcon AU saloon car. But you can see now Parry putting the pressure on the back of the Falcon, the much more nimble, lighter Peugeot 205, as one of the BMW E30s made a move up the inside and then the outside of the cleavage section around the back part of Winton Motor Raceway. But Parry didn't have any of it, fighting hard on the outside. Anastakis holds second position and outpowered the BMW E30 in a straight line down the back straight to keep second position, and right behind him would be a car to prove a bit of havoc later on in the race for the Team Stomp Racing car of Paul Chapman and Tony Ross. But there it was, Parry Anastakis taking the lead on the first lap coming into turns 11 and 12, and from there on it was all about looking forward for Parry Anastakis. So Anastakis and of course John Taylor out in the front, but John Taylor a very nervous hand in pit lane. The Ops Central Peugeot 205, of course Harlan Engineering sponsored vehicle, were absolutely going great guns in the first part of the race. So there's the Ops Central on demand logo, and of course the Harland Engineering logo as well. Some great sponsors for the 205 Peugeot. Let's go to lap number 64 when Parry Anastakis brought the car into the pits in first position for their compulsory pit stop. Of course, heading the car over to John Taylor for the rest of the race. Let's watch the pit stop.
As well of Eddie Silvio and Craig Barron. Bit of an engine problem with that car, so they're working away to try and figure out what it is at the moment. But yeah, that car's actually in the garage, so not sure if they'll return to the circuit or not at this stage. Perry Anastakis out of the car. What a performance from him. Pretty physically demanding, spending that amount of time in the car as well. And the team now getting ready to refuel the car.
Coming off.
Pretty well organised. They've done a lot of these endurance races. It might be Anastakis' first start in the Winton 300, but he's done every Wakefield 300 endurance race since 2008. So a team that's well versed in the regulations for these 300k races.
Perry or John?
So we've actually got Perry Anastakis.
Perry Anastakis, you've just come in for your first pit stop. You've led for the first almost 2 hours.
Wow.
What a way to go.
Great fun out there. That was fantastic fun out there. Everyone's so respectful. It's great. It's good. I didn't know where I was coming. We lost our radios. I don't know what's happening. I knew I passed on the first couple of laps. I was in the lead, but I didn't know what was happening around me, who pitted. So I decided to go for the maximum 64 laps and come in.
You're pretty much the last of the whole bunch to pit.
Oh, really?
Was that a tactic?
No, we had no radios. Well, we weren't. There was no safety car, so I think it's a tactic in a way. But we had no radio, so I just decided to go 64 laps.
How does it feel to lead the Winton 300 for almost 2 hours on debut?
It will sink in shortly. At the moment, I just want to get John in the car. Wanted to get some consistent laps. I think we got a good lead. Let's see how we go.
And what's the key to success? The Peugeot, is it running that well?
It's down on horsepower, but the handling around the back here, it just loves Winton. It took me a couple of laps to get used to that, but now I pass on the outside, the inside, wherever you want to go, you can pass cars, so it's fantastic.
Your instructions to your co-driver, and can you win this?
Absolutely, just keep it on the black stuff and we should be okay. We should be okay.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
An excellent pit stop from the Car 44 team, and that takes Perry Anastakis out of the car, John Taylor in the car for what will be the run of the checkered flag. The team took him back out onto the track in first position. Let's see what he can do.
Now down to a minute 41.0. That's about the fastest lap time he's achieved in that car since he's jumped behind the wheel. If he can maintain that sort of pace between now and the rest of the race, which is 25 laps away, he will very comfortably be able to see off the challenge of Brad Rodwell behind him, because the margin is 65.3 seconds between those two cars. A safety car now would make things interesting, but even if there was to be a safety car, Brad Rodwell would have an awful lot of traffic that he would have to negotiate his way through to be able to challenge the Peugeot 205 GTI of Perry Anastakis and John Taylor.
As one of our commentators just mentioned, it would be interesting to have a safety car for the second half of the race, and unfortunately for the Frogstorm racing car, that's exactly what happened, and it will prove a challenge to bring the car home in first position. Although we can't see the action on screen, let's have a listen to our commentators and see how it pans out.
Because Anastakis fairly slow on the exit. Taylor very slow on the entry to the sweeper.
And now he's got the Porsche 944 right on his tail. Spare a thought for Perry Anastakis, who owns that car. Down the inside proceed. He sends it at turn 7, not able to get the move done there. Taylor, can he hold the corner speed up through turn 8? Yes, he can, proceeding looking to the outside this time around. And
that's the moment that Miller and Croceti took the lead and would go on to win the Valvoline Winton 300 B main. And the car of the Peugeot 205 GTI, Perry Anastakis and John Taylor, would end up finishing in a fantastic second position. Of course, this being their debut Winton 300, and the boys and girls certainly will hold their heads high until next year's Australian Endurance Championship. Well, we hope you've enjoyed a look at the highlights of the Frogstomp Racing Peugeot 205 GTI for the Valvoline Winton 300. We look forward to seeing you again next year for a fresh start for the Australian Endurance Championship. Thank you to Ops Central and of course Harlan Engineering, Tess Anastakis, Stephen Enzo, Angus Lithgow, John Taylor and Perry Anastakis.